Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to the channel if you're new here. For today's pick a card reading, we are indulging in a good old-fashioned ancestor message reading. So our intention today is to connect collectively to your ancestors to see what is their best guidance for you right now at the time that you're viewing this reading. So without further ado, let us pick our cards to choose our piles with. Get a nice good shuffle in here. Okay, so for pile ones, I feel like this one here. Pile twos, that one. And let's see, I'm feeling drawn to this one for pile threes. And let's unveil the cards together. So, for my lovely pile number ones, your card today is the Dragonfly and Pansy. Set that right there. For pile number twos today, we have the Opossum and Peony. And last, but of course not least, for my pile number threes today, we have the Fox and Ivy. Okay, so just to reiterate, for all of our piles today, we have the Dragonfly and Pansy for pile ones, the Opossum and Peony for pile twos, and the Fox and Ivy for pile number threes. Of course, you're always welcome to pause here in the intro of the video if you need more time to decide which pile you would like read for you today. But of course, whenever you are ready after you've meditated on the piles, the timestamps for the readings are down in the description box and or the top pinned comment below beneath the video. So navigate down there, click on the timestamp for your reading, and I'll see you in our discussion about guidance from your ancestors today. See you there. Hello there today, my lovely pile number one. Welcome to your pick a card reading on the topic of guidance from your ancestors, a message they want you to hear right now at the time you're viewing this reading. And of course, as you can recall, the pile leader you chose was the Dragonfly and Pansy with the subtitle of Balance. Very gorgeous card. So of course, as is our tradition, I'm going to set it over here to the left next to the pine cone. And then right away we're going to draw our oracle cards and then our tarot cards on screen. So let's shuffle everything together. So ancestors, for pile number ones, could you help us choose cards to more well define your message to them today, your guidance? Thank you. Okay, definitely that one right there is popping out. And then the good old Sacred Rebels deck. Love this deck to pieces. I think it was one of the first Oracle decks I ever purchased. And it has always served me well. Thank you, ancestors. There we go. Same thing with the Citadel Oracle. Oh boy. That one almost flipped out. Okay, there we go. Ooh, we have a bit of a Hamlet reference here with the skull in the hand. Okay, beautiful. To be or not to be, that is the question, right? I believe that is it for, yes, oracle cards, and then we'll draw your tarot cards, pile number one. So ancestors, once again with tarot. Let's see, there we go. Better shuffle. Could you give us around 5 cards that explains more about the message you want to share with pile one today? Thank you. Okay. Oh my god. You know, I get the feeling that this was a very talkative ancestor kind of coming through for you, pile number one. I think that already is 5 cards, but let's count. So I want to make sure they were in order. So this was the first one, and that was the second. So 1, 2, And 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. Maybe someone good at, you know, it's funny too, because I just was like, you know, I feel like there's someone who is like very talkative, pile number 1. Same thing too with orator. Like literally one of the taglines of this card, and I didn't realize this till now, is communicator. So definitely feels like an ancestor who is more talkative, someone who might have been an air sign. For example, Gemini, I always think of when I think of communicators, right? And also I get the feeling they were pretty good at math or like calculation, or something that they did for their career was related to making calculations or like accounting, things like that. Very interesting. Or they could have also been an actor, pile number 1, because, you know, like I was saying, the orator here is a reference to Hamlet, which, because there's a scene in Hamlet where he holds the skull and he says to be or not to be. That's the very obviously famous speech that we all know for Hamlet for, but so someone in drama, someone who is communicative, someone who, like I said, good at math, calculations, things like that. Very smart person, pile number 1. Okay, so let's unveil your cards. I'm just going to set your tarot down here with me for a second. So right off the bat, I mean, we already saw the orator from the Citadel Oracle, and the tagline is communication and confidence, and the element is air. So we'll set that one up here. And then from Sacred Rebels today, you received number 15, Big, Bold Vision. Someone who almost feels, I want to say flamboyant might be the best word. Like someone who is very dramatic and out there in a good way, pile number 1. Someone who is very... They weren't afraid to speak their mind, and they weren't afraid to stand out. Is kind of what I'm feeling off of this ancestor coming forward for you. And then, of course, we have your surrender card, which is surrender your ego. Cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from your heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will further your goals. So it could even be, too, that because of the personality of the person coming forward for you, pile 1, that this was a life lesson that they struggled with. Maybe they... because of this message coming out with the surrender card, that they struggled with maybe ego, because, you know, a lot of times when people are very, what's the word, in your face about who they are, sometimes it's confidence, pile 1, but I think with this ancestor, it might have been a bit of an insecurity, kind of like a look at me type thing. Over time, though, especially if this is an ancestor that you knew in your life, maybe you saw that they worked through that lesson, and it became more of a cry of confidence rather than an insecurity look at me thing. But I think especially because of the presence of the surrender your ego, that might be an indicator as to who this ancestor was. So if you had someone that you knew, I mean, this could be an ancestor that was before your time, of course, but if you had someone that you knew who was very communicative, maybe even into acting, or they were like a media personality, or they dressed almost flamboyantly or very loudly, like they were... Maybe by the end of their lives, they were not afraid to speak of themselves or show themselves to the world. But at one point, it's potentially they had dealt with like insecurity issues. Okay, that's kind of the ancestor that I feel is coming forward for you right now. Yeah, and especially with the presence of balance from your pile leader with the Dragonfly and the Pansy, right? I think, too, maybe there were aspects of their life where they dealt with a lot of life lessons around balancing things. So that could have been, once again, you know, the difference between what is being confident and what is being so loud to hide insecurity. Okay, a balance like that. I almost feel, too, maybe there was, like, addiction issues, or they lacked balance in some way. Like, maybe they indulged in one thing too much and didn't pay much attention to other things in their life. Like, I want to say maybe even threw themselves into their work a little bit too much, but then, like, they neglected family life, or vice versa, that type of thing. And so we'll see more about what their message is to you today, pile number 1, in the tarot cards, but at least there's something about who they were as an ancestor, or like during their lifetime to you, pile number 1, that is the reason why they specifically are coming forward. So let's see more about what they're saying with your tarot cards. Of course, first we saw sunlight reversed, or the sun reversed as it's known in most decks. Okay, so lack of truth or lack of happiness. Then we have the Ten of Cups reversed, which can also kind of be interpreted as a lack of happiness. You know, pile one, I don't know if there's some area of your life where you've been very dissatisfied lately because of the presence of the Sun reversed with the Ten of Cups reversed at the beginning as the inciting incident of the message. Let's keep going, though, before I say too much. The Queen of Swords, okay. All right. That can be pretty contextual. And the Ace of Swords... Oh. New idea. And then we have the King of Swords. Lots of swords this time. Once again, pile number one. Sword is the suit of air in tarot. There's a lot of air element in this reading. It could also mean that you are an air sign yourself, but for sure, I think this ancestor was... I'm going to clock them as pretty much, for sure, they were an air sun. Okay, so we think of, Aquarius, we think of Libra, we think of Gemini, right, being the air signs. And there's a lot of swords, so like I said, lots of air. Yeah, I feel like there's an area of your life they're referring to that you've been kind of unhappy with recently in terms of achieving in this area. I feel like... you personally might be feeling as if your happily ever after has been kind of dashed against the rocks, or there's some sort of lack of knowing where to go from here, especially because with the Sun reverse, that can mean like a lack of information or a lack of truth, because when we think of light sheds, well, kind of redundant, but it sheds light on things, right? And so you're kind of confused, and you're like, I really want, answers on this. I want to know where to go. I want to know where to find my happiness in this particular area of my life. And it seems this ancestor is stepping forward for you, pile one, on, well, how do you do that? What's the answer? I think it also maybe you've been asking for signs recently because of the abundance of air element in this reading. Also, with the orator here, we think of communication. Like, literally, I see it with someone holding, I know it's a reference to Hamlet, but so with someone holding the hand of or in the hand a skull, it's like holding the dead. Like, maybe you've been asking your ancestors, like, please come forward, please. And then maybe you saw this reading and you're like, okay, here, I'm going to click on this. And then maybe I'll finally get the answer I've been looking for. There's some sense of you having reached out a lot for them, though. Maybe you talk with your ancestors pretty frequently, but yeah. So then here is their answer. We have the Queen of Swords, Ace of Swords, and the King of Swords reversed. So apologies for some silence, pile one. I just want to tune in here for a second. Intuitively, pile number one, I feel like the source of your unhappiness in this situation is there's a masculine figure who I feel like is getting in your way. Could even be that this masculine figure is someone of ego, hence the presence of the Surrender Your Ego card in this reading. And, like, I see a strong feminine energy in the Queen of Swords, someone who is logical, someone who is intelligent, because the Queen of Swords can mean someone who is like, they're like a tactician or they're very smart. And being the core card of the reading, it's like, I feel like that's your significator in this, that you are that Queen of Swords, pile number one. And you have a new idea with the Ace of Swords here. You're like, oh, I have this new thing, and I have this big, bold vision, hence why that card came up, right? But then it's like there's this masculine figure with the King of Swords reverse that just keeps getting in the way. Someone who also is very, I want to say they're in your field, especially if this is a career-related issue, pile number one. And you're like, oh man, how the heck do I get past this obstacle of this person in my way who keeps trying to block my new ideas and my visions, and someone who, is keeping me from the success and the happiness and the truth that I'm trying to reveal here, and the happily ever after I'm trying to seek, at least in this area of my life, especially with, like I said, the Sun reversed and the Ten of Cups reversed being at the very beginning of the reading. So that's what they want to reach out to you about today, pile number 1. They're like, hey, I see you. I know it seems like this masculine energy is kind of getting in your way. You have this really, really great new idea, but at the same time, it can only go so far if there's someone with, it seems like, an ego that's kind of getting in the way. So perhaps the question you've been asking is, how do I get past this person? How do I get past them? Okay, and that's what they want to help you with today, pile number 1. So, Ancestor pile 1 who is coming forward, could you give me around 3 cards explaining more about the situation at hand with this person? Okay, just to kind of confirm. Thank you. Because I, as the tarot reader, just want to get some more details. So the first card they drew for you was the 3 of Swords reversed. Okay, overcoming pain. Beautiful. And then we have, a King of Pentacles. Yeah, definitely career, it feels like, or at least some area similar in your life, pile 1. There's some sort of pain that is trying to be overcome in this situation regarding success with finances or career, with the King of Pentacles having come out as the central card. And there's a slowness because of the 8 of Wands reversed. So I think the issue is you have an idea surrounding how to bypass a pain regarding slowness of finances or monetary funds. Okay. But that, like I said, that King of Swords reversed over here is the thing that's blocking you from getting this message out or enacting this idea, okay? And, yeah. Which is probably very, very frustrating, pile number 1. Definitely. Because it seems like your idea here, and they're confirming this through these cards right here, pile number 1, this idea you have would fix the issue that's going on in your career, or could be even like in a group, like a hobby group that you're in, or some sort of community project you're working on, or something to that effect. And it would actually make strides. I mean, it would work out. They're saying it's a great idea, pile 1, but it's just that person's in the way, of course. So I will also ask this ancestor of yours, well, how do you bypass this issue? Because that's really the key here, isn't it? Is how the frick do I get past this person and get them out of the way, right? So ancestor of pile number 1, could you give me once again 3 cards? What advice do you have on overcoming this person? On pile number 1, getting their idea out there or past this obstacle of a person, it seems like, is how I'll describe them, right? Okay. So, Page of Wands. And then we had 2 come out. Page of Wands and the 4 of Pentacles. How do you bypass them? Sharing. Oh, okay. And then the 3rd card is this one, the 4 of, lots of 4s, which 4 is about stability. Interesting. So how do you bypass them, pile number 1? So you have the Page of Wands and the 4 of Pentacles and the 4 of Swords reversed. I'm going to look at that for just 1 second. Apologies for the silence. So, pile number 1, I feel like there's some aspect of the situation that your ancestor is referring to where you have been holding back your idea too much or valuing it too much, or another way this could manifest is you've been letting this person's opinion and the avenue that they could potentially offer you've been putting too many of your eggs in their basket. That might kind of sound confusing, so let me rephrase that. It's like your ancestor is saying that, what I keep hearing is, well, why do you care about their opinion? Why is that the only avenue you can take? There are other paths for you, pile number 1, okay? And I say that because it's funny, because you have the Four of Pentacles here as the core card, and the Four of Pentacles is about reserving your energy. Like, you see the fantasy figures here, they almost kind of look like gnomes, I would say. Like, they're reserving the pie back here, like a bunch of pies on the table, and then there's one person kind of taking their pie and pulling it away. Like they're hoarding it, and that's kind of what the Four of Pentacles means upright, is reserving things, right? Being stingy sometimes is even the word. But next to it is funny because it's the Four of Swords reversed, which is like something becoming active and coming out of a time of rest. I think it would be a good idea to take your passion and your energy here from the Page of Wands, pile number 1, and instead of letting... I mean, it's not your fault. Let me preface that when I say letting. It's not your fault that this person is blocking you, but instead of letting them be the gatekeeper, find ways to maneuver around them and get that idea out there. Like this almost gnome creature who's like taking the pie and saying, okay, I'm just going to go do my own thing now. You know, I don't want to join your party. I'm going to take this golden pie that I have, or this idea, metaphorically, and I'm going to go around you, and I'm going to take it somewhere else where it's going to be valued. So, one way that could manifest, pile number 1, is, for example, say this is a job-related thing. You could potentially take the idea and go to someone else in the department and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or you could almost go to another like related department and like a leader in that department that maybe would benefit from that same idea and say, hey, like I had this idea, what do you think about it? Because I feel like what's stifling this vision from really becoming like coming to fruition, probably is the best term, is that this person, you're giving them almost too much power in the situation, the obstacle person blocking you. Okay, there are ways, your ancestor is saying, to go around them and say, I'm not going to let them gatekeep me anymore. I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to find avenues outside of what might be the main obvious answer, okay, to bring my idea to life, because this person obviously is not worthy of the idea that I have that would bring us to the next level. Okay. And I do want to draw maybe 3 extra cards as like a final part of the message from your ancestor as to maybe some advice on who to go to, pile number 1, because if I were in your boat, the first thing I would ask is like, well, then who the heck do I go to? Because it's possible while you're watching this, you're like, oh God, should I go to this person or that person? So I'm going to ask for a little bit of an indication as to who that should be. Okay, or at least maybe what avenue, because it could possibly be that it's not really a person blocking you, pile number 1. It could also be that maybe it's a certain medium or a certain platform, like say this is like a social media related thing and you're not doing so well on one social media platform. Going around that obstacle might literally mean I'm going to take my goods, quote unquote, and I'm going to take them to this other platform where my idea might come to better fruition. Okay. So let me ask your ancestor, like, where or who should you go to? Let's ask that. So ancestor of pile 1, could you give us 3 cards? Who should they go to, or where should they go to? What avenue do you think they should take, or like who do you think they should take it to? Because I think that's a good question to ask. Let's see here. We have the Four of Wands reversed. Okay. So someone outside or somewhere outside your normal home, quote unquote. Someone outside your typical wheelhouse. We also have the Hermit reversed. Okay, that's about coming to light or bringing things to light, or could mean someone who is outgoing, being the Hermit reversed. And then last but not least, we have the Wise Woman or the High Priestess. So I want to say it's a feminine figure, pile number 1, if this is a person that you could potentially go to. I want to say it's an older feminine figure because of the presence of the High Priestess here, especially in how it's manifested in this particular deck's depiction of her. An outgoing older woman, okay, and is outside of your normal, quote-unquote, home is what the Four of Wands reversed means, okay? So that could literally mean your home, meaning outside of your department, okay? It could mean outside of your field, like maybe a related field, okay? Because sometimes, you know, things just don't take traction in one area because of, I don't want to say the backwards thinking, but because of the, like certain things kind of get stifled in certain fields because of ego, okay? Whereas if you went kind of slightly outside of the normal area, pile number 1, your ancestor is saying you would probably find better traction there where there's less ego involved in, you know, maybe the fear is of this, if it's a person, pile number 1, for example, maybe they fear that you would outshine them in their field, and that's why maybe you're getting kind of blocked. Whereas if it's someone who's not in the normal wheelhouse or this field or department, for example, they're not going to be as ego threatened, or maybe they're just, well, probably a better person. They're not going to be ego threatened by you. Okay. So that's what I would say in terms of who or what to look for. Someplace you don't really normally go with the Four of Wands reversed. Okay. Someone who is outgoing with the Hermit reversed, or it could be a platform that's even more public. It could be one interpretation of the Hermit in that way reversed. And then, yes, as the High Priestess, I would say if it's a person, an older woman, or it could also be, if this is like a platform related question, I would say as the High Priestess, that means to follow your gut. So like when you ask yourself deep down, say this is a social media related thing where you're like, oh, maybe I should try this avenue instead. When you ask yourself, what's the first alternative social media or platform I have for my idea and my vision? Yeah, like what's the first thing that comes up when you close your eyes and you ask yourself that? And that's your answer from the High Priestess, okay? So, yeah. It seems like your idea is good, pile number 1. Your vision is good. And your ancestor really wants to emphasize this. It's not that it's a bad idea or a bad dream, pile number 1. It's just that sometimes ego gets in the way. Sometimes, you know, humans are flawed, as we know, right? And their ego gets in the way of letting other people's ideas come to fruition and take the spotlight. And so sometimes you just need to take the good idea that you have and put it somewhere else where it won't be stifled, okay? And that's what your ancestor really just wants to emphasize to you. All right. Okay. So that is what I will leave you with today, my wonderful pile number 1s. As always, I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated with you. If it did, if it was a good reading, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number 1. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 2s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today. That is a message from your ancestor, what guidance they think would help you most right now at the time you're viewing this reading. As you recall, the pile leader you chose was the Opossum and the Peony with the subtitle of Bashfulness. Very cute. So as is our tradition, I'll set our pile leader over here next to the pine cone to the left, and then we're going to draw our cards on screen right now. So first we'll use our surrender deck. So ancestors of pile number 2, could you provide us some cards that explain more about what you want to tell them about? Also maybe something about yourself to help pile 2 recognize who you are. So definitely that one. Okay. There we go. And our final oracle deck is the Sacred Rebels. And I feel like that one, pile number 2. Okay. And then same thing, ancestor, or ancestors plural of pile 2. Could you give us around 5 tarot cards that explains more about the message or the situation at hand that you want to talk to me about? Thank you. So I feel like this ancestor was someone kind of quiet, pile number 2. Someone that was a little bit more of a listener than a talker. I get masculine energy for the majority, but we'll see what happens and what pops out. Alright, so the first card from Sacred Rebels today is number 1, After the Storm. So we have a barn owl, beautiful card. After the storm, maybe a bit of chaos going on. Maybe something kind of scary happened recently, or something a little bit chaotic. Let's see, then we have the Sentinel with the element of air, determination and certainty. So we have someone literally like a Sentinel guards things or watches over things, like guarding a door. Yeah, guardedness and chaos. I don't know if you've, like, pile 2, I keep feeling like there's been a bit of a scare recently in your life. Or something you've been really worried about that you feel like you're going to have to protect something from. And then the surrender card is surrender your fear of intimacy. You're ready to let love in. Compassionately identify and begin to release any patterns that stop you from opening your heart. Yeah, guardedness. Like I was saying, there's literally like a shield here in the Sentinel. And like I said, a Sentinel literally is someone who is like a guard of things. And then we talked about guardedness here with the fear of intimacy. Maybe you're afraid of letting someone in. Interesting. As far as who this ancestor coming forward for you is, pile number 2. Let's see if I can find any hints here as to who they are. Apologies for a moment of silence. Once again, I do feel at least they were probably someone who was, someone a bit guarded. I mean, literally, that's kind of what the Sentinel means. And then, too, I was saying, like, they're a very quiet person. Very quiet. Definitely more of a masculine energy coming forward for you. Someone who, some of you I'm feeling it's like either a father or a grandfather. Someone who was protective of you. Okay. Someone who, this sounds really drastic, but it feels like someone who would probably beat someone up if they ever hurt you. That's like that kind of energy, like that masculine protectiveness is what's coming through what I'm feeling here with this reading. So, yeah, someone who definitely would have beat someone up if they hurt you. I mean, maybe not literally, but they would have felt like doing it. And so I think that's why they're coming forward for you right now, pile number 2, because there's something that happened that is either like scaring you or it kind of shook you a bit or it's been chaotic, and they're like that masculine energy of wanting to kind of protect you from harm. And that's why they're coming forward, because they're like, I want to protect my pile too. I want to make sure that they're safe, and I want to make sure that they have everything they need and that their like harm doesn't come to them. Okay. Yeah, definitely like dad energy or, grandfather, great grandfather, uncle, that type of thing. Let's reveal your tarot cards too, pile number 2. So the first card we have is the 4 of Wands. All right, something with the home. I don't know, were you broken into recently, pile number 2? Did someone invade your house or where you live? Oh boy. 3 of Wands. Ambitions. Okay. Then we have the Page of Swords reversed. Page of Swords reversed. Interesting. Yeah, something that made you feel like... what I'm feeling from you, pile 2, is like a feeling of having... you felt stupid afterwards. Like, oh man, I should have predicted that, or I should have seen that coming with that Page of Swords reversed. And then we have the Chariot with the Fairy Wind. Okay. And then Drive. That's why they want to come forward and protect you. Yeah, look at that. We have the Emperor. Okay, but the Emperor reversed. That's masculine energy, pile number 2. I was like, I feel like there's a lot of dude energy here. But Yeah. You know, what's coming through, reading this as the situation going on that your ancestor wants to reach out to you about pile 2, I feel like there was something that scared you recently. I know I already kind of said that, but specifically it was something where I don't know if like your home was threatened, like maybe there was a fire or there was, I want to say there was a person involved because of the fear of intimacy card. Because I mean, I know technically you could read that as like a romantic relationship if you looked at that specific definition of it, but to me it almost kind of seems like, because like when we have been threatened in our home, like the Four of Wands literally means like the home, okay, we can get that feel of, or that feeling of like we don't trust people, we feel like our security has been violated, we feel like, you know, we're maybe like nervous to go out again, like, and we like double check and make sure we lock everything with our doors because we're like, oh god, what if someone breaks in again? You know, I'm not saying that all of you had like a burglar type situation. As I was saying, it could have been maybe there was a fire, or maybe there was someone who's been threatening you, or something along those lines. And that's what your ancestor wants to reach out about, because like I said, they're that masculine protective energy coming through, and they're like, hey, no one's gonna hurt my baby. Basically, it was the feeling I'm getting off of them. And yeah, and you're like, oh god, I feel so stupid. Like, I almost think you blame yourself for the situation, pile number 2, with that Page of Swords reversed in the middle here. And it's led to a lack of trust because of that, or a lack of a feeling of security. I mean, even too with the opossum, opossums are known for playing dead, basically. That's how they avert predators. So basically, like, a predator will come along and the opossum will just pretend to be dead so that the predator just kind of keeps going. Like, it feels really scary whatever happened, pile number 2. So my sympathies, because, I mean, either having your house almost burnt down or being threatened, or, you know, yeah, someone coming into your house and trying to steal something, or, I mean, could possibly be even maybe like your security threatened in the way of maybe you're fearing losing your job. Either way, it's like, I mean, it's never fun to go through pile number 2. So, and 2 with after the storm, that's like the feeling of refinding stability after a time of chaos or something that kind of shook you a little bit, right? You're like, I'm just trying to rebuild the security I had, and I'm trying to really get back on my feet and trust again and not feel so paranoid and anxious. And yeah, that's at least intuitively, the emotions I'm getting off of this. Okay. Like someone threatening your home. Yeah. Very interesting, that Three of Wands. Feeling taken advantage of. Yep. And then we have the Chariot and the Emperor reversed. I want to say, like, if it was a person involved, pile number 2, it was a masculine figure that either tried to, like, break in or started the fire, or was the person that threatened you or fired you if it was, like, a job-related thing. Yeah, and they did it because of ambition and drive in a way that was, like, of course, you know, well, I mean, not very good ambitions, of course, if it was stealing, right? But yeah, like they were trying to get ahead, or if it was like someone who fired you, it was like, oh, they were just trying to get ahead themselves. And so it was almost like a feeling of being thrown under the bus, if that was the case. Yeah, just not good stuff all around, pile 2. So, I mean, I will pull more cards, but I just want to summarize so far. It feels like this masculine figure is coming forward because they want to comfort you, and they want to tell you something regarding this situation that would help you feel better. Okay, so I'm going to draw some more cards, pile 2. I'm trying to think what's the best question to ask next for you. Well, first, I'll just ask them, what do they want to say regarding what happened in the past of this, like this chaotic or this thing that made you feel insecure in terms of security and things like that. So pile 2, Ancestor, could you talk more about like what exactly is like the core message you want to tell them about this situation? Thank you, 3 cards, please, around there. What's the core message you want to say? Ten of Pentacles reversed. Okay, that could mean loss of finances or lack of legacy or inheritance. We have the Enchanter, which is the Magician, manifesting. And then the Queen of Wands reversed. Yeah, I think the main message they want to get through or they want to talk to you about is you feeling a lack of confidence or the ability to manifest or like reinvigorate your trust or like your feeling of security in this area of your life, especially when it comes to, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed popping up, it's like, I want to say it's almost an insecurity around finances or your belongings, of course, which, I mean, that happens, when someone tries to steal your stuff, you're not going to feel very secure, but it's like specifically, though, the message they want to send is about a lack of inner confidence you have about either protecting yourself in the future with this lack of finances or the stealing of finances or that type of thing. So I'm also going to ask them, like, what advice do they have about this particular loss of confidence? Okay, so 3 cards, please, Ancestor, pile 2. What do you want to say about their lack of confidence or loss of confidence in this area? Or what advice do you have for them on this? Thank you, 3 cards. Okay. Oh boy. They have lots to say, I guess. Everything's flipping out. So the first one was this one. The 2 of Wands reversed. Oh, okay. And then they have the 3 pain, yep. So they're acknowledging your pain, pile number 2. They're acknowledging what happened. They're also saying with that 2 of Wands reversed that you... God, it almost feels like it was a major loss, pile, too, because with that 2 of Wands reversed, it's like a lack of being able to plan for the future. Did someone steal, like, an inheritance or a large sum of money from you? Because also the 10 of Pentacles reversed we got earlier can be about inheritance and pain in this area, pain around planning for the future. And then the Queen of Swords here is this particular card on the right. Yeah. So in terms of advice, pile number 2, regarding the confidence being built up, they're saying there is a way to tackle the pain and the feeling of a lack of, ability to build for the future through the power of the Queen of Swords or through her energy. And the Queen of Swords is a card all about thinking things through logically, or like the way a tactician would, almost kind of thinking of it the way that you would, like playing a game of chess, right? Very intelligent, because she's the Queen of Air, which is the mind and communication and being smart about it. And they're acknowledging here intuitively, I'm hearing them say, like, I get the pain of what happened, and I totally understand that it feels like the rug was pulled out from underneath you, but at the same time, there's a way that you can think your way out of this, or you can turn that 2 of Wands reversed right side up and get past the pain of it through thinking about things logically. Okay, so for example, pile number 2, if this was a situation where it was like a burglar got into your house, which of course, that's very scary, but they're saying if you already know that you thought through everything logically and took action and steps to prevent that again in the future, that you're going to be safe, pile number 2, because like say, you installed a new security system after that happened, or maybe you got like a dog that would be able to bark and warn you, okay? Things like that. They're saying you've already thought through it logically, okay? It's going to be fine. Like they're not dismissing your pain, but they're saying it's almost like you just don't trust yourself again after this, pile 2. But they're saying you should trust yourself. They're saying you've got this, pile number 2. Okay, it's going to be okay. And on top of that, too, I think because this is a masculine figure coming forward, and of course, positive masculine traits are about, being protective and being a guardian, right? They're just part of this reading is them coming forward and saying, I'm watching over you, pile number 2, because it seems like that is an area of your life where you're needing a little bit more of that positive masculine energy of being protected from bad masculine energy, okay, especially, you know, with that Emperor reverse that was over here earlier. And they're like, you know, don't worry, we're watching out for you, it's gonna be okay. You know, think through it logically. You've already put all the safeguards up in place now after this happened to make sure it doesn't happen again. Or, like, for example, if this was more like the loss of security in terms of, say, like, you got fired from a job, pile number 2, they're saying, like, you know, just keep working at applying for things. You know, you've already thought through it logically with that Queen of Swords, okay? It's like they're acknowledging that you have this feeling of, oh, all is lost, or God, I've lost everything, or, oh God, how am I going to go from here? And they're saying, just, okay, it'll be okay, you know. And I know I've repeated that, pile number 2, but they're really emphasizing that in the intuitive message coming through here. You need to believe in your own ability more to pick up the pieces and move on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, once again, I'm really sorry, pile number 2. This is not a fun reading to give because it's the kind of reading where it's like, oh my God, that sounds like something horrible happened, right? But the good news is they're saying they're looking out for you, okay? They want to emphasize that. And 2, if there's any area of your life where you've been fearing taking risks because this happened in the past, like, say, for some of you it might manifest in terms of, say, you were with a partner, a negative masculine partner, and this is where that surrender your fear of intimacy might come through as a romantic message, right? And you're afraid of dating again because there was a negative masculine figure that you dated before, okay? They're saying to trust yourself to try again with a new partner, if that maybe is your particular concern. That just because something bad happened in the past doesn't mean that it's going to happen again, pile number 2. Okay. So it's like a message of having hope in safety and having hope in security again after that had been maybe breached a bit because of the situation that happened. Yeah, just very sad, pile number 2. And once again, sorry. Yeah. I'm also going to ask if they have a parting message for you, pile number 2. A parting message. In general, if there's anything else they want to say. Because, I mean, this reading isn't so much about action steps you can take. It seems to be more of a reading of reassurance for you. Because I think that's what they're saying you need most right now, pile 2, is just reassurance that you're protected and you're safe. It's going to be okay. So, any parting message, pile, ancestor, pile number 2. Thank you. Parting message. 7 of Cups reversed. Okay. Then we have the Child of Pentacles reversed. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, pile 2. There's really an emphasis on, from this particular message, about fears regarding finances or like job, because you have 2 Pentacles cards with the boons here, and dreams regarding career or finances because of the 7 of Cups reversed having come out. And I feel like the parting message is something about, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask them 1 second. It's gonna be silent for a minute. It sounds kind of corny, pile number 2, but they keep saying believe in dreams again. Believe in dreams again. That you have an abundance there that you're just not seeing yet, is the other part of the message coming out. Believe in dreams again, and you have an abundance there that you're just not seeing yet. I feel, because and I keep saying this isn't the end. So whatever happened, pile number 2, I mean, they're really emphasizing that things are going to perk up in the future again, but it's so hard. Like, they're acknowledging that that's hard for you to trust because it seems like there's been a lot of bad luck or fear recently, especially in terms of finance, with both the Child or the Page and then the Queen of Pentacles having come out reversed. And it's not so much advice, though, pile 2. It's just acknowledgement of the pain. Maybe it's even something you felt like you've had to kind of keep hush-hush because you're ashamed of it. Or, like, you don't want to make anybody worry. You just want to, like, hold the burden completely on your own shoulders. But what this ancestor is saying is, like they see you. They understand what happened, okay? And they get it. And they, it's just a lot of love and a lot of reassurance and a lot of protectiveness here, I'm feeling. And comfort after a hard time. And it's not like they don't necessarily have many pieces of advice in terms of action steps. It's just a very, I mean, it feels like, you know how like some people in your life, when something bad happens to you, some people will be like, well, here's your action steps to take. This ancestor coming forward is someone who is more like the type of person to come up to you and be like, here's some hot chocolate or some hot tea and a warm blanket and comfort rather than, you know, here's how you fix it, okay? And so that's the main reason why they're coming forward today, is just to comfort you, pile 2, yeah. I mean, there were the mini messages, a little bit of advice in terms of, you know, you can trust yourself that this won't happen again, that you've already kind of prepared. Okay, you've already guarded yourself from this happening again in the future. But yeah, just a very gentle masculine protectiveness coming forward, which is beautiful because especially if it was a masculine figure that caused the problem in the first place, pile number 2. Like a jerk masculine figure is how we'll just talk about that first one, right? A positive masculine figure coming forward to comfort you is kind of like reminding you to have hope in the masculine being positive, or the possibility of positive masculinity again from masculine figures in your life, okay? Yeah. And definitely, like I was saying before, this ancestor feels like they want to punch the lights out of whoever made you feel bad. Of course they can't because, you know, they're not in this realm with us right now anymore, but yeah, lots of comfort. So once again, my sympathies, pile number 2. Not fun, but they're saying it'll get better and you're protected now, so okay. That is what I will leave you with then. So if you liked the reading, if it resonated with you, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you have not done so yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number 2. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome today to your pick a card reading that is guidance and a message from an ancestor that wants to come forward for you. As you recall, the card you used to pick your pile was the Fox and Ivy with the tagline of adaptability. So as is our tradition, we'll set our pile leader over here to the left next to the pine cone, and we will draw our cards from the other decks right now. So first up, we'll have our oracle cards. So ancestor, or plural, maybe multiple ancestors that want to come forward for pile 3. Could you help us right now with helping us choose our cards for that? Thank you. Who are you and what do you want to say? So I'm going to pick that one back there. It feels like it's drawing our eye. Okay. And then... okay, we have looks like 2 of those. Yes, so we have 2 from the Citadel Oracle. Oh boy, someone probably pretty creative, pile number 3. There we go. And the last Oracle card. And then, of course, we'll draw your tarot cards at some point soon. But first, let's explore the Oracle cards a bit. Apologies, I'm going to shift in my chair. It might be if your chair squeak noises just now. So, revealing your cards from this ancestor, we have number 10, Releasing Allegiances. Okay, I'll set that over here. And then the 2 we already kind of saw. Spoiler alert, we have the Muse with the element of Earth, Generosity and Naivety. We have a bird, a pomegranate, and a lyre on the cups. And then the second Oracle card from the Citadel Oracle is, with the element of water, the Masquerade, hiding your true self and projection. So, kind of the symbolism of masks. Huh. Some interesting themes coming out with this ancestor pile number 3. I want to say they were someone who... what's the best way to put it? I'm almost having a hard time kind of pinning down their personality in a way that it feels like their energy is very closed off. And I don't mean that in like a negative connotation, pile number 3, but if you knew them in life, like perhaps they've passed on, but they were around when you were younger, they might have been someone who was a little bit more not so forthcoming with their true thoughts, someone who was a bit maybe more quiet and introverted, but at the same time, I get the feeling of a lot of creativity out of them. I mean, not only do we have the Muse, which in Greek mythology, the Muses were spirits or beings that inspired people to write or paint or sing. Like, if you've ever read, say, Homer's The Odyssey, literally at the beginning of the Odyssey, Homer invokes the Muses, like, sing to me, O Muse, of the tale of Odysseus, or I can't remember exactly how it goes, but, so someone creative, someone who, I want to say, like, painting or writing, especially, too, with the Masquerade, having had, literally, there's a paintbrush in the depiction in that card, but at the same time, it was like they spoke a lot with what they did, but they didn't speak a lot with their tongue, okay, is the vibe I'm getting out of this ancestor, and so they're not quite as forthcoming. They're a little bit more backed off, but there's something that they still want to tell you that's very important that they want you to know. And, well, we'll talk about releasing allegiances later, because I feel like that might connect more to the other messages, but let's reveal your surrender cards. So you received surrender to rest and sleep, to prevent burnout, slow down, honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so maybe this message will be a bit more of a self-care message, but it could also be more than one message, pile number 3. And then let's draw your tarot cards on screen right now. So this creative ancestor of pile 3, the more reserved one, could you give us around 5 tarot cards that explains more about the situation at hand that you want them to talk about, or you want to talk about? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Thank you, ancestor, pile 3. Okay, there's that one. 3. Yeah, once again, even with the way, it's funny, pile number 3, sometimes even the way when I draw tarot cards, or how tarot cards fall out kind of tells me when it's a channeling reading, like when we're having someone come through, will it tell me more about their personality, and the fact that, like, it's funny because the way when tarot cards flip out a lot and they come out rapidly, it's either I read that as like an urgent message, or it's like someone who's very like outgoing and someone who's extroverted. None of the cards flipped out by themselves with this particular ancestor, so I almost feel once again that's just a reiteration of this is someone who is more quiet, okay? Someone that had, I mean, well, the saying is a little bit more blunt than this, but for YouTube, it's like they wouldn't say crap if they had a mouthful. It's kind of how it goes. Yeah, and then we have, okay, the Huntsman, which is justice in most decks. Justice. Interesting. So this is the situation at hand. The Knight of Swords reversed. Okay, you know, I wonder. I'm going to pull more cards before I say, but I'm kind of getting an inkling. Okay, so Ace of Swords with the White Raven. Yeah. And there's a lot about birds in this particular reading so far, pile number 3. I don't know if there's some sort of bird symbolism associated with... I mean, because you have the White Raven here, and then you have it on the shield or the crest of the Knight of Swords. And there's also a bird up here, too, on the Muse Cup. One of them, at least. Interesting. Bird symbolism, okay, and then we have the Five of Pentacles. All right, maybe a financial problem as well has come up recently in your life. And then we have the Queen of Swords reversed. Funny, the Queen of Swords has come up, I think, in every single reading today. Queen of Swords reversed. So what's the situation at hand? Apologies for just a moment of silence here, pile 3, as I look at all your cards together in tandem. Okay. Well, number 1, they're emphasizing, this is kind of a dual message reading, pile number 3. Number 1, like with rest and sleep over here, they're emphasizing a focus on taking care of yourself right now. And the reason I say that is not just because of that card, but there's also a general overall like intuitive feeling I'm getting of you being really stressed out lately. And I think what's causing your stress is there's some sort of situation that popped up where you... Oh, what's the best way to put it? I'm sorry, I'm hesitating. But intuitively what's popping out is there's been a situation where justice has been involved in, I don't know if there's like been a legal battle, or it could be justice in terms of fairness, so maybe not necessarily like a literal like court related thing, okay? And the Knight of Swords reversed next to it is like taking action in terms of communication or the mind, or the lack of such because it's reversed. And so, yeah, and then the new idea with the Ace of Swords. You know, it's funny because this ancestor is very... if they were alive when you were alive at one point, pile number 3, I feel like this ancestor was someone who either they would like to speak very wittily or in like riddles, kind of. Like they're not very forthcoming. Once again, I'm sorry I keep using that word and repeating it, but they're not very forthcoming about what they're meaning here. They're like, I have a riddle and I want you to be smart and I want you to figure it out. Like they didn't just tell people things. They were like, I want you to figure it out for yourself. Yeah. But yeah, intuitively what's popping forward is there was some situation where someone was not fair to you, or you were in a group or like a job situation where things were not being fair in general, or fair to whatever, like say it's a business, like to the customer base of that business or the employees there. And I think you regret not taking action in the situation with that Knight of Swords reversed. Or it's like you did take action because you're like, oh, I realized, I got an idea of what was really going on with the unfairness here. but then it left you in a bad situation, pile number 2, because of the Five of Pentacles. I mean, this particular depiction is 2 children that are, like, starving and they're in the cold and they're like, oh my god, like, how are we going to survive? But, I mean, traditionally the Five of Pentacles is, yeah, like, poverty, or there's been a setback in finances or security, okay? And then the Queen of Swords reversed at the end here is indicative. Once again, there's that white raven with the bird imagery. There's a lot of bird imagery in this particular reading. Where you're like, I don't know how to go from here. I'm not sure, like, was I right in leaving? Like, should I have left? And 2, I mean, I look, and my eye is drawn to releasing allegiances over here on the right from the Sacred Rebels Oracle. It's like you were loyal to something and then you weren't. You were like, this isn't the right way to go anymore. I can't stay here, or I can't be with these people because, or it could have even just been an idea that you realized wasn't fair, pile number 3. And you're like, I have to release this allegiance to whatever I thought was right before, and now, yeah, I mean, it's funny because the person, this ancestor, is depicting it to me as almost like a character in a story where, like, have you ever read a story before, pile number 3, where there was a character who was on the side of, like, the quote-unquote bad guys, and then they realized, oh no, like, they were so into it, and they were so, like, oh, this is the right way to do things, and we're doing good things for the world and the people that we serve, but then it's like that character realizes, oh no, are we the bad guys? And then they rebel against that, and then they come to the actual good side, okay? And that's kind of how I'm feeling this ancestor's coming forward to kind of describe you in this situation, pile number 3. It's like you turned your back on what was because you knew it wasn't right, but then at the same time you're questioning, was that even a good idea? Because especially with that Five of Pentacles, it's like, oh god, like, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to be secure? You know, are people going to be mad at me? It's whatever it is, it's, you know, be it an actual material fear or like an emotional fear, it's threatened to security in some sort of way in terms of the earthly things around you, like your home, your money, your reputation with other people, things like that. And yeah, it's like a confusion of where to go with that Queen of Swords at the end there. Like, did I make the right decision? Was I thinking smart? Or was I stupid? Okay, like, not that you were stupid, pile number 3s, but, I mean, that might be kind of the feeling you have is, like, I don't know. And it's funny, too, because with the prevalence of the masquerade, which is, you know, it's almost like a masquerade or someone who makes masks, it's like, things seemed so great, and then the masks came off. And you were like, oh, wait a minute. And so, yes, of course, there's that emphasis on making sure you take care of yourself right now with rest and sleep. But I think the main thing they want to talk about is, well, what do you do with this situation? So I think the first thing I want to ask your ancestor here with an extra 3 cards is, so ancestor of pile 3, could you give us some insight on the truth behind what was causing the issue related to justice, okay? Because I think that might give you some insight, pile 3, as to whether or not you were right, which I think you were, but let's ask to be sure. Okay, we have the Keeper of, Keeper of Swords, or it's the King of Swords reversed. So I want to say a negative masculine figure involved. And then we have, Eight of Challengers or Swords reversed. Freeing yourself, freeing oneself. And then we have the Emperor reversed. Yeah, you know, pile number 3, the cause of what was going on there was bad authority. Because not only do you have the King of Swords reversed, you have the Emperor reversed, and those are both being reversed negative authority figures, okay? That looks like bad leadership to me, pile 3, at what was going on there, and you realized it. And it's like you felt kind of trapped there with the Eight of Swords, but then it being reversed, it's like you realized, oh, I gotta get out of here. I have to release these allegiances. I can't be here anymore. It sucks and it's not right. And I'm gonna ask an intuitive thing. I'm sorry, one second. I'm gonna be quiet for just a moment here. I'm going to ask your ancestor something. Yeah, they keep saying, like, bad boss, bad leadership, bad... And the word jurisdiction is popping up as well. Corruption is another word coming through. And it's like you thought this person was great, and then the mask came off, and it was like, oh no, they're not who I thought they were. And you almost feel foolish for having believed in them in the first place, or you believed in the idea or the business, if that's how that applies to you, specifically pile 3. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're asking for, like, clarification on if you were right to leave pile 3, or maybe you're still in the situation of trying to figure out how to leave, they're saying, leave. Okay. I mean, you have free will, but that reading right there with those 3 cards tells me there's corruption and bad leadership going on, especially with the Hierophant reversed here. On the right, the Hierophant is... Sometimes it's about spirituality and tradition, but this particular reading, it almost feels like bad leadership being reversed to me. Yeah. And toxic things passed down. Maybe this has been a tradition in this place or with this person, or, you know, maybe it's even like something bad was passed down to them and they kept the bad thing going. Okay. Something along those lines. So Ancestor of pile 3, do you have any advice for them going forward regarding this situation besides maybe taking care of themselves with a rest and sleep message? Thank you. What advice do you have for them in either leaving or continuing to stay away? We have the Moon reversed, illusions revealed, 3 of Wands reversed, feeling like we can't take action on plans for the future, and then the Queen of Wands reversed. Interesting. So lack of confidence. They're telling you, pile number 3, to have more confidence. Here with that Queen of Wands reversed, regarding plans that you've made for the future with the 3 of Wands reversed next to it. It's like you feel like you can't move on, or you feel like you haven't made the best path forward to get away or to find somewhere better, but you have. And I say that because the Moon reversed here on the left is about deception revealed or illusions revealed for what they actually are. It's like whatever you think you're not ready for, it's an illusion. Okay, pile number 3. And I mean that in terms of believing in yourself and your ability to either, you know, say this is like a business related thing. It could be like, maybe you want to start your own competing business that does that thing better or more ethically, okay? And so they're saying to believe in that, or it could be, you know, maybe even just in believing in your ability to get away from this bad situation. You know, believe in and have confidence with that Queen of Wands reversed in your ability to move forward into the future past the deception, okay? There's a lot about deception here in this reading, not just with the Moon, but like the Mask card earlier here at the top. Just bad people, pile number 3. Very good to get away from them, okay? So if you already made that decision and you're like, oh God, what did I do? It's good that you left. And or if you're making plans to leave, it's good to leave, okay? Yeah. Very interesting. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I would ask for you from this ancestor. 1 second, apologies. I want to almost ask, and I'm being guided to ask, what awaits you in the future past this bad situation, okay? Because I want to, and I feel like your ancestor too wants to give you hope for someplace better after this setback of whatever happened, particularly for you, pile 3. So, could you give us 3 cards that explains more about, like, where are they going after this ancestor of pile 3? Like, what's better for them out there, or maybe an indication of where to go from here would be great. Thank you. So we have the King of Cups reversed. Lots of reversals. Hanged Man reversed. And the Ace of Cups. New emotion, new relationship. It's very interesting because we haven't had a lot of cups, or I think any cups yet, pile number 3, and now there's an abundance of cups in this particular reading. So we asked, what lies ahead, or where should you go? You know, pile 3, I almost feel like they're telling you, if you haven't decided yet where to go from here, to go somewhere that is a completely different perspective on this particular field or business or situation, especially with the Hangman being the core card here reversed in the middle. It's telling you a need for a new perspective, okay? And same thing too with the King of Cups on the left here reversed. That's like I feel like they're talking about, like, you're looking for a place that will heal the heart rather than break the heart, which is kind of an odd interpretation of the King of Cups, because normally the King of Cups is either like a figure who is emotionally attuned or stable or wise with emotions, but this particular reading, it's intuitively that's saying something about a place that heals the heart if you're looking for guidance on where to go, you know? And then on the end here, we have the Ace of Cups, which is newness in terms of relationships or emotions. I would almost maybe seek new people entirely, with the Ace of Cups having come up. Pile number 3 is what your ancestor is encouraging you towards. And they're saying too with the Hangman, because another interpretation of the Hangman is sacrifice. Being reversed, it's almost like they're saying you don't have to sacrifice what you love about what you did before. It's just that you need to find a place that is more attuned to the heart to follow that passion, okay? And new people that are more attuned to your perspective on how it should be done, okay? So yeah. Release your allegiances and look for new relationships, new fields, new energy in terms of perspectives. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything here, pile number 3, with the rest of your message. Also a place where you can be more real is another intuitive thing popping out that they're telling me for you. A place you can be more real, pile 3. Instead of a masquerade party of lies and illusions. Okay. So that is what I will leave you with today, my wonderful pile number 3. As always, I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated with you. And if so, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our custom, our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number 3. Okay? Bye.